The church hallway feels like it's closing in. Doors jammed, whispers pressing against my back. My son-in-law smirks beside his mistress while the pastor counts down 10 minutes. I clutch the USB, sweat slick on my palm, knowing tonight is the only chance to expose the truth. Someone hammered my door at 1 a.m., then a smaller knock, and my daughter said my name. I yanked it open. Emily folded into me, dead weight and heat and a wet copper smell. "Dad." Her voice broke like a hinge. I got an arm around her and the other on the knob. The porch light blew a harsh cone across the steps. Another porch light snapped on across the street, blinds tilted, 2 fingers parting them. "Nothing to see," I called. My voice sounded steady, felt like borrowed. "Please," Emily whispered. Her lip was split, one eye swelling fast. She kept a hand clamped under her blouse like she could hold herself together. "Don't tell anyone." "I'm telling the record," I said. "Hold on." Side event, neighbor porch light. The sodium bulb across the street hummed. A neighbor in a robe stepped onto her stoop, arms folded. "Everything okay over there?" "Medical," I said. "Go on back in." She frowned. "We heard yelling earlier." "Not from here." The blinds across 2 windows clicked shut, thin slats slicing the light over us. The street fell back into engine idles and a dog's far bark. I got Emily moving. Down the steps, into the truck. Seatbelt across her trembling hands. I thumbed my phone and brought up the Ring clip. The thumbnail showed my own porch at an angle, paint chips in the frame of my boots. I hit play. On the screen, 1 hour, 12 minutes a.m. glowed at the bottom corner. Her knock, my door, her collapse. I mirrored it to my phone storage, then popped the tiny USB from the tray and slotted it in. The file chirped across. No titles yet, no stickers, just the minutes doing what minutes do. Remember. "Don't show pastor," Emily said. "Please, Dad." "Doctor first," I said, "then anything else." The engine caught. I dialed 911 on speaker and gave our street, the condition, the ER we were driving to. Emily leaned her head against the window. Glass fogged around her breath. At the hospital lot, the security guard angled his flashlight. "Park to the right. No drama inside, folks." "No drama," I said. "We're here for documentation," I corrected, "for care." We moved through sliding doors into cold air and television whisper. A toddler was crying into a blanket. Antiseptic bit my nose. Nurse Mallory met us at triage, pen already poised. "What happened?" she asked, eyes on the bruise flowering under Emily's eye. "Fall," Emily said. "Assault," I said. Mallory wrote nothing for a beat. She looked at Emily. "We can document injuries with photos." "Do you consent?" Emily's jaw trembled. "Just not my face online." "It won't be online," I said. "It'll be on paper." Mallory nodded. "Triage, room 3, to me. If you have video of arrival, keep it. Don't edit. We'll note the time." "I have the clip," I said. "Save to a drive." "Good." She snapped a wristband around Emily's wrist. The printer chirped the date and time. They wheeled Emily behind a blue curtain. I stood with my hands on the back of a plastic chair until the heat left them. Panic can ride shotgun, not steer, I told myself, and felt the wheel in my palms again. A man in a hoodie barked at a vending machine. A janitor pushed a bucket. The TV murmured about traffic on I-90, red lines crawling over a map like veins. Mallory came back with a clipboard. "We'll take photographs and write a medical statement. A doctor will examine her. If you want timestamps, I'll initial each image." "I do," I said. "Who did this?" she asked. "Her husband," I said. The word felt wrong in my mouth. "Name's Tyler." She nodded once, wrote nothing, then pushed through the curtain. I pulled the USB from my pocket and looked at it. Plain metal, no label. A small thing that could carry the whole night if we fed it the right hours. The security guard drifted by again. "You got someone coming after her?" "Not if I can help it." He tilted his chin at the automatic doors. "We're here." The curtain opened. Emily was on the cot, eyes closed, a square of gauze against her lip. Mallory angled a small camera. We'll start with hands and face, then abdomen if she consents. Emily nodded without opening her eyes. The camera clicked, a small insect sound. Mallory's voice stayed even. Left cheek, 134. Right hand, 135. Initial and minute, I said. She glanced at me, not unkind. We do. I stepped back so Emily could see me. She turned her head a little. Dad? I'm here. Don't make this big. It's already big, I said, softer than I felt. I'm going to make it true. Mallory finished the sequence and handed me a laminated card. Dr. Patel will confirm contusions. We'll give you discharge papers with a follow-up date. If law enforcement is needed, they usually want consistent time markers. Understood. She hesitated. I know Pastor Jenkins. If you want a supportive witness later, doctor first, I repeated, then the rest. A young tech slid a curtain ring with a screech, then apologized. The sound cut the air. Emily flinched. I wanted to hit something dumb and soft, like the mop bucket, and kept my hands where they were. They wheeled her toward exam. I sat again, pulled the phone, watched the ring clip once more. 0100 tall. I named the file the way I name everything, ring_0112. Then I didn't save that title, not yet. Leave titles for when you know how a story ends. The sliding doors breathed open. 2 teenagers came in, one limping, both laughing too loud for the hour. The neighbor across the street ghosted through my head, the click of blinds, the fold of her arms, the small judgment she had already mailed to the block. I touched the USB once and put it back in my pocket. The curtain rattled. Mallory leaned out. She'll be about 20 more minutes. You can come in for the doctor's explanation. Thank you. My phone lit in my palm. The name on the screen was Tyler. Preview text. Where are you? I let it buzz. The curtain scraped on its track and Dr. Patel stepped in, glasses low, voice steady. I'm Dr. Patel. Emily, I'm going to examine you. Then we'll talk about pain control and documentation. Emily's fingers worried the edge of the blanket. I don't want pictures everywhere. They won't be everywhere, I said. They'll be in a file that matters. Nurse Mallory rolled a tray closer. We can take a clinical photo set, and I can initial each image with the minute. That keeps the sequence clear. Emily's good eye slid to mine. Dad, please. Doctor first, I said, softer than anything else. Dr. Patel palpated gently, narrating like he was laying a trail even his future self could follow. Right zygomatic swelling, mild. Laceration on lower lip. Defensive bruising on right hand. Tenderness along lower left ribs. He looked up. These are consistent with assault. I'll enter my note. Mallory lifted the camera. Emily, I'll say the region and minute out loud as I take each photo. If you want me to stop at any point, tell me. Emily nodded once. Click. Left cheek, 0332. Click. Right hand, 0333. Click. Lower lip, 0333. Mallory glanced at me. We'll keep her abdomen private unless she consents. Emily swallowed. Okay. I stood where she could see me without sitting up. The room hummed with air, fluorescent buzz tucked under the sound of the camera. Fear wants me loud. Procedure wants me careful. I chose careful. Dr. Patel finished the exam, scribbled, and spoke without drama. We're ordering an X-ray to rule out a rib fracture. For the record, findings are consistent with assault. He handed me nothing, just the words, measured and useful. Emily turned her head toward me. He'll say I started it. Let him talk, I said. We'll show. Mallory printed a small stack and clipped it to a board. After X-ray, I can sign my initials next to each time code and the triage minute. We'll give you a copy of the discharge paperwork. Follow-up will be listed there. Emily's voice went paper thin. I don't want Pastor there. Pastor will get the minutes, not the story, I said. Only if we need the room. Dr. Patel's pager chirped. I'll be back to review the X-ray. They wheeled Emily out. I stayed, because sometimes the most useful thing an old firefighter can do is be still. The USB in my pocket pressed light against my palm. I pulled it out, tore a strip of white tape, and wrote in block letters, Ring 0112. It felt like naming a tool before you put it on the rig. Emily came back hugging herself under a thin blanket, teeth set. Mallory slid the curtain and tucked her in with busy hands. X-ray looks clean, Dr. Patel said a minute later, reappearing like he'd never left. Bruised ribs, not broken. I've added a clinical note. Findings consistent with assault. Mallory tapped the photo set. I've initialed the sequence and added the triage time. You'll get copies. If law enforcement requests them, they'll want the whole set intact. I nodded. We'll keep it intact. Emily stared at the ceiling tile like it was a map. I can't go home, she whispered. You're not, I said. Mallory handed over a single sheet and a small packet. Discharge with contusion care and a follow-up. The paper showed a line in bold. Follow-up by Tuesday, June 18th. She tapped it. If pain spikes or breathing gets worse, you come back earlier. Do you need a social worker tonight? Emily shook her head fast. No, I just want to go. Dr. Patel paused at the curtain. I'm available if you need an additional statement later. Tonight, rest and ice. Thank you, I said. He nodded and was gone. I helped Emily sit. She winced and said nothing. We moved like we were carrying glass. In the parking lot, the night air felt rinsed and new. She slid into the truck slowly, hand braced over ribs. I strapped the belt, then tucked the discharge packet in the glove box, like it might break if I looked at it wrong. Don't put my face on a projector, Emily said as I started the engine. I won't, I said. I'll put the minutes on one. She closed her eyes. That makes it worse. It makes it true. She was quiet until we hit the first light. He's going to say I hit him. He's going to tell everyone I make things up. He's already telling stories, I said. We're collecting pages, not rumors. Dad. I know, I said. And I did. Shame has a weight. So does proof. Only one holds still when people argue. At my place, I got her inside with the steps we'd already practiced. Hand on rail, paws at the top. I settled her on the couch with a pillow braced under her arm. The neighbor's porch across the street was dark again, blinds flat. The street had given the drama back to itself. Water? I asked. Please. She sipped and nodded thanks without looking up. Don't call Pastor, she said. Promise me. I promise for tonight, I said. Tomorrow we're going to need a room that's bigger than our kitchen. She didn't answer. The house ticked. My phone lit the counter for a second, then slept. I pocketed the USB with its fresh white tape and went to the door. The ring caught my own shadow, a tall hinge on the porch. I checked the lock, looked at the quiet street, and let my hands remember what steady felt like. Behind me, Emily's phone buzzed where I'd set it on a folded towel. The screen brightened and a thumbnail bloomed. Tyler's IG story, a cropped frame of her face from some old argument, mouth open mid-word, paused like a charge before the punchline. I didn't press play. By morning, my kitchen looked like a small command post. Coffee ring on the counter, manila envelope open, the USB waiting beside it like a clean wrench. Emily sat in my old hoodie, knees pulled up, scrolling and flinching. Don't, I said. Too late. She turned her screen. Tyler had posted an old clip, her face mid-syllable, cropped to anger, captioned like a joke. Comments stacked under it. Neighbors who should have known better tapping hearts like they were turning screws. That's not last night, she said, voice flat as a table. I know. I held out my phone. We won't argue with him. We'll log him. I took a breath I didn't feel and opened the post on my own screen. I let the frame settle, then captured screenshots. Full thread, visible handle, the time bar. No edits, no replies, just the record. You're going to call Pastor, she said. I'm going to ask for a room, I said. And I'm going to ask the HOA for the gate logs. I don't want church people staring at me. They'll be staring at the minutes, I said. Measured doesn't mean mute. She dragged the sleeve over her mouth. He'll say I make scenes. Then we'll give him a clock, I said, and dialed. Pastor answered on the second ring, warm and wary. Frank! I need the basement, I said. Neutral room. I'll keep it to documents and timestamps. A pause. You know how this town gets. That's why we need a room bigger than our kitchen. Another pause, then. If it stays factual, maybe. Let me talk to the board. Thank you, I said. I'll handle the rest. I hung up and called the HOA office. Officer Chen, please. Chen, a voice said a moment later, firm and awake. Frank Ellison. I need the inbound gate log from 1 to 1:10 a.m. Sunday. The car will show as Emily Monroe. Request has to be in writing. He sounded like a sign nailed to a fence. Form R12, photo ID. We release certified copies Fridays. I'll file R12, I said, today. I printed the form from the HOA site and filled it at the table. Name, plate, time window. My hand didn't shake. At the bottom, in small print, the footer blinked like a traffic light I couldn't ignore. Records window closes Friday, June 21st, 5 p.m. I slid the USB into the manila envelope with the screenshots of Tyler's post and the printed R12, then closed the clasp. Evidence travels best when it has somewhere to be. Emily watched me cap the pen. He's going to make everyone think I'm crazy. He already is, I said. We're going to make everyone think about the time. She winced, the movement catching in her ribs. Don't put my face up. I won't, I said. I'll put the minute up. I hate that. I know. The phone buzzed. A text thread from a number I didn't recognize. We heard yelling before she came over. Maybe she started. I took a breath, let it pass out slow. I didn't answer. I took a screenshot and added it to the stack. Context, not conversation. I called Chen back. I'm bringing R12 now. Office hours 10 to 4, he said. If you want certified copies, you'll need to pick up by Friday before 5. I'll be there. He cleared his throat, a dry sound. Bring ID. Of course. Emily stood, careful with her side. If Pastor says no, then we'll find another room, I said, but he won't. She hugged her arms tighter. People are going to look at me like that clip. They'll look at a timestamp, I said, and a gate log. Dad, I know. I grabbed my wallet and keys. On the way to the door, I hesitated at the USB and the manila envelope like I was leaving a sleeping child. I slid both under my arm. At the HOA window, a clerk took the form, glanced at my ID, and stamped a receipt. Officer Chen will review. Certified copies are only released on Fridays. I saw the footer, I said. She slid a little ticket back under the glass. Email auto-reply will confirm. If it doesn't arrive, call outside. The sun had snapped up and the sidewalk already smelled faintly like hot dust. My phone pinged with the auto-reply, a dry little flag that said at least one thing in this morning knew how to behave. On the way to the truck, I called Pastor again. He picked up with a sigh already in his mouth. Frank, I spoke with 2 of the board members. And they're worried about a spectacle. It will be quieter than gossip, I said. I'll stand at a projector and read minutes. That's all. He was quiet long enough that I heard the page of a calendar move. If Emily consents, he said finally, we can pencil the basement. She consents, I said, not looking at her because I didn't need to see the face she'd make. We'll keep it factual. I'll text you, he said. Back home, I set the envelope on the table and opened the laptop to the post again. Comments had multiplied. Drama queen. Always had a temper. Pray for him. Denise's heart emoji lodged like a fishbone. Don't read those, I said to myself and closed the lid. Emily stood in the doorway with a blanket around her shoulders. If I don't go to work tomorrow, HR, we'll deal with HR if we have to, I said. Right now we deal with minutes. She looked at the envelope. I feel like I'm on trial. You're not, I said. He is. He just doesn't know it yet. She snorted, a tiny sound that might have been a laugh if the world were softer. You always loved paperwork. I love when it's right. I tucked the envelope into the top cabinet, not because it was safer there, but because I needed to do something that felt like putting a lid on a fire. The house clicked and settled. A garbage truck groaned a block over. The morning did what mornings do, pretended everything was normal. My phone buzzed. A single text from pastor slid onto the screen. Basement available if needed. I stared at the date on the wall calendar until it shrank to the square I needed. We needed Friday by 5. We needed a room by Saturday night. And we needed to keep our hands steady. I set an alarm and breathed once, long enough to taste the coffee going cold. I spread the R12 on my living room table and printed it again, just to see clean black on white. The USB sat beside the pages like a spare tool waiting its turn. "Do you have to go in person?" Emily asked from the couch. "Process is faster when a person hands it to a person," I said. "Procedure isn't a scene, it's a path." She tucked the blanket tighter. "People will see you." "They'll see a form," I said, and slid the paper into a folder. At the HOA office, the window glass smelled faintly like Windex and old carpet. A clerk took my ID, stamped the top corner, and slid a buzzer-sized ticket under the slit. "Officer Chen will review," she said. "Certified copies release Fridays before 5. "I saw the footer," I said. "I'll be here." She nodded toward a tray. "Drop your R12 there." I placed it flat, palm lingering to keep it from curling. The clerk's rubber stamp thudded once. Clean. A moment later, my phone vibrated. Email auto-reply marched onto the screen. "Requests close Friday 5 p.m. Good. The clock had a voice. Back in my truck, the phone buzzed again. Harder this time. A different haptic. "Unknown number. Drop this before you embarrass yourself." I stared at it until the buzz ended and the words cooled on the glass. I didn't answer. I took a single screenshot, then killed the screen and set the phone face down. Air through the vents smelled like dust and the last of last winter. At the church office, Pastor Jenkins leaned on his desk, glasses in his hand. The office was the same as always. Soft lamp, hymnals in tidy stacks, a calendar with too many boxes. "Frank," he said, "you sure a public forum serves Emily?" "It serves the record," I said. "I'll run timestamps. No speeches. Folks will come looking for a story." "They'll get minutes," I said, "if you host it." He clicked his pen twice, thinking, "I want to protect her from shame." He looked at me. "I want to protect you from yourself." "I'm not hunting theater," I said. "I'm building a clock." He half smiled. "That sounds like you." He picked up the calendar. "If I pencil Saturday, it's conditional. Documents only, no accusations. And if the board objects, I'll keep to the paper," I said. "Does Emily consent?" I didn't look back at the door. "She consents to truth and to breathing easier afterward." He let that sit. "All right, we'll pencil the basement pending the board." "Thank you." I stepped out into the hall and called Chen. He answered like the phone had belonged to him first. "Officer Chen." "R12 filed," I said. "Frank Ellison. I'll bring ID for the pickup." "Certified copies are released Friday at 4:30, he said. "Pick up by 5. Don't cut it close." "I won't." "Bring the original ticket." "I have it." I thanked him and hung up. The day had the bright, flat look of noon coming, and my shadow felt shorter on the sidewalk than it had when I walked in. Back at the house, I laid the stamped R12 on the table and set the USB next to it. Emily watched me from the doorway. "What if the board says no?" "Then we find another room," I said. "But the board won't say no if we tell them exactly what we're doing. Showing minutes, nothing else." She looked down at her socked feet. "I don't want anyone to look at me." "They'll look at a clock." She shook her head. "You keep saying that like people care." "They care when it's on a wall," I said. "They just don't know it yet." My phone pinged with a new email. Subject line, R12 received. I filed it and let the inbox go dark. The house was so quiet the refrigerator motor sounded like a small plane. I opened my notebook and wrote 2 lines. Friday, 5 p.m. and Saturday, 7 p.m. Underline. Underline again. A new message slid into the corner of the screen. Instagram DM from Sam R. The preview showed only a sliver. Grady's. Receipt 12:20 a.m. Tyler plus woman in red. I didn't open it yet. I just watched that sliver breathe. The hallway smelled like old carpet and fried onions. A box fan hummed on the landing, pushing warm air in a slow circle. I held Emily's spare key like a relic and slid it into the deadbolt. Click. Nothing. The key turned half a tooth and jammed. I angled my phone, camera up. Welfare check, I said into the lens. Attempting spare at. I tapped the screen so the overlay would hold and spoke it out loud. Mon 2153. I tried again. Click, fail. The door didn't give. The chain inside rattled once like a laugh. Go home, old man. Tyler's voice came through the wood, smug and close. She doesn't want you here. I'm logging a refusal, I said, keeping my tone level. Open the door and say it if you want your side recorded. Side event. Neighbor whisper. A chain slid on a door to my right. A woman's eye appeared in the crack. You her dad? Yes, ma'am. She had a guest earlier, she whispered. Red dress, too loud for a Monday. Thank you, I said. Name? She hesitated, then shook her head. Don't pull me in. The chain lifted, the door shut, latch kissing metal. I stepped closer to Emily's door but kept the camera framing the knob in my hand. Frank, Tyler said, the name sour. You're harassing me. Good, I said. Then we'll both make statements. Touch that lock again and I'm calling the cops. Perfect, I said. We'll compare clocks. I brought the key up once more and let the camera catch the refusal. Key seated, my hands steady, the knob still. The overlay holding Mon 2153 like a nail through the moment. My phone buzzed in my pocket. I didn't look yet. I gave the peephole a square, patient gaze, the way you stare down a flare so it burns where you expect. Emily isn't with you, I said through the door. She's safe. This is a welfare check and a request for her personal effects. She took everything she needed, Tyler said, including my piece. You'll want to stop talking, I said, and lowered the phone. The hall went quiet but for the fan. A couple up the stairs paused, then kept climbing, their footsteps soft as folded towels. Frustration wants theater, I told myself. Procedure wants minutes. I pocketed the key and kept the phone in my hand, thumb hovering over the stop button, not pressing it yet. Tyler spoke again, lower. She hit me first. I raised the phone back up and said to the lens, calm as I could make it, subject asserts a counterclaim through closed door. No visual provided. The peephole darkened like someone pressed an eye to it. I let the silence work. After 10 seconds, it cleared. Somewhere in the unit, a drawer slid, then thumped shut. Door refusal recorded, I said for the file. Creating folder, door refusal 0617, later tonight. Get a life, Tyler said. I've got one, I said. It has paperwork. I ended the recording and let my hand hang at my side until the tremor left it. The neighbor's door cracked again. He's nasty when he drinks, she said, voice softer. That girl doesn't have to go back. She won't, I said. You got a card? She asked, then shook her head like she regretted it. Never mind. Thank you for speaking, I said. I won't use your name. She nodded once. Good night. The chain slipped. The door sealed her away. I stood there a moment longer, listening to the apartment breathe. A TV inside was too quiet to follow. A pipe ticked somewhere in the wall like a distant metronome. On the stairs down, I watched my feet because old knees and cheap treads are a bad pairing. The box fan pushed the smell of someone's dinner around my ankles. Outside, the air tasted like summer had turned the volume down for the block. At the curb, I checked the video. Clear frame, steady key, door stubborn as a mule. The Mon 2153 stamp sat bright in the corner. Good. One clean line. My phone buzzed again. Emily. Don't. He's mad. Please go home. Another text stacked under it. He took my spare. Don't come back. I typed. Refusal recorded. I'm leaving now. The bar hung blue, slow to send. The fan noise from the landing seemed to follow me out to the sidewalk. I looked back up at the windows, dark squares like closed eyes. I slid the phone into my pocket. The second message failed to send. By mid-morning, the porch smelled like pine cleaner and hot mail. I set the USB on the table and laid a blank tamper sticker beside it, there but not pressed. The phone buzzed 3 times in a row, like a kid kicking a door. First, Nurse Mallory. I can add initials and a brief note to the photo sequence this week. Good, I said. Time down to the minute. Done, she said. Keep the set intact. Second, Officer Chen. Your R12 is in the queue. Certified release is still Friday. Pick up by 5. I'll be there at 4:30, I said. Then the email that tasted like pennies. From the law offices of, subject line, cease and desist. I opened it and read without letting it climb up my throat. Allegations, harassment, civil action pending. At the footer, a single line in bold. Respond within 72 hours. Emily stood in the doorway like she'd been listening to weather roll in. What is it? An attorney letter, I said. And it says what all bully letters say. Her face fell. He's going to ruin my job. As if on cue, the voicemail icon pinged. I put it on speaker. Hello, this is HR at North Hills. We're reviewing Ms. Monroe's recent absences and would like to schedule a conversation. Emily covered her eyes. I can't do this, Dad. You can, I said, and I can turn this into what it is. I tapped the email once like it was a bug. Retaliation. Context. His letter just became our exhibit. I don't want to be an exhibit, she said. You're not, I said. The pressure is. She sank into the chair and hugged a cushion to her ribs. What if they fire me? Then they'll put it in writing, I said, and we'll put that next to the timestamp that proves where you were and why. She shook her head. Why can't we just let it die? Because it won't, I said. It'll grow teeth. I forwarded the attorney PDF to a folder labeled Context and wrote a note across the top of my pad. Pattern of pressure, used narrowly. I played the HR voicemail again just to hear the tone. Polite, careful, like someone edging around a spill. I called back and left a message. This is Emily Monroe's father, Frank Ellison. We'll provide dates and medical follow-up documentation. Please email available times. Emily stared at me. You didn't say anything about Tyler. I won't to them, I said. We keep it to minutes. The phone chimed with a text from Mallory. Addendum Thursday at 1 o'clock. Initials plus triage time. I typed confirmed and let that sit like a weight on a paper stack. Dad, Emily said small. He'll make me into a story. He already did, I said. We're making you into a timeline. Silence stretched. The house ticked. A truck rattled down the street like loose drawers. I printed the first page of the attorney letter, not the whole thing, and set it next to the phone. The only thing I let the camera of my attention dwell on was the bottom. Respond within 72 hours. I took a breath and didn't take a picture. One cue is plenty. I wanted the rest to live in the folder, not in my head. Are we going to court? Emily asked. If necessary, I said. First we're going to Friday, and then Saturday night. I don't want Saturday. I know, I said. The words came out steady because I made them be. Anger wants to swing. Paperwork wants to land. I set my palm on the table until my hands stopped buzzing. I called Chen back. One more thing. Yes? If there's any hiccup at release, board pressure, whatever, call my number. I'll be at the window before 5. Hiccups aren't my department, he said, dry as paper. But noted. Thank you. Emily turned her phone over and over in her hands like she was polishing it. If HR calls me in, will you come? If you want me in the lobby, I said. You'll speak for yourself. I'll carry the clock. She almost smiled at that, then didn't. You always did. The phone buzzed again. A new text from Sam R. blinked onto the screen like a small flare. Owner won't release. I might pull after close, no promises. I looked at the message until the 3 dots disappeared. The HOA counter looked like every counter I've ever argued with. Neutral laminate, a slot that eats forms, a sign that doesn't care who reads it. Behind the glass, Officer Chen adjusted his tie like the morning belonged to him. Ellison, he said. I slid it under. Here for a preliminary check on Sunday, 1 to 1:10. He glanced at the screen. I can confirm an entry exists within your requested window. Certified copy. Friday. His finger tapped the plexiglass once. near a placard I had already read twice. Certified copies released Friday by 5 p.m. Copy that, I said. He pushed a small pickup ticket to the edge. 4:30 release. Don't be late. I won't. I didn't reach for the ticket yet. I looked at the sign and let the words lodge. Friday by 5 p.m. Sometimes you let your eyes do the recording so your mouth doesn't have to. From my pocket, the phone buzzed with new comments. Tyler had posted a grid of polished photos. Boat beer, gym mirror, perfect smile, and a caption about prayers for healing. Denise hearted everyone like she got paid per tap. Chen cleared his throat. Something else? That'll do, I said. I took the ticket and folded it once. Thank you. Outside, heat lay on the sidewalk like a towel from the dryer. The phone kept spitting little red numbers. Comments, DMs, strangers who knew me as the crank with a ring camera. Pastor called while I was still under the HOA awning. Frank, I'm listening, I said. We'll host if it stays factual, he said. 2 board members are skittish. Measured isn't mute, I said. I'll use a projector and read timestamps. No speeches. Emily? She's not ready for faces, I said, but she's ready for minutes. He exhaled. All right. I'll post the flyer Saturday evening. Neutral wording. That's best. I hung up and texted Emily a photo of the pickup ticket. Just the top edge, no numbers. The idea of a ticket. She replied immediately. Does this mean it's real? It means it's almost certified, I wrote. Friday. A new comment under Tyler's post flashed on my screen. Always said she was dramatic. Another. He's too nice for her. Denise added a heart and a laughing face. I took 2 clean screenshots and stopped there. Enough context to show the pattern. Don't feed it more than it's worth. Back home, I laid the pickup ticket on the table beside the manila envelope. The USB went into a padded mailer addressed to Pastor Jenkins, a strip of tape hanging like a tongue until I pressed it clean. Emily shuffled in. Hoodie sleeves swallowed her hands. Why are you mailing the drive? Safe transit, I said. If my truck gets broken into, I want a copy off-site. You think he'd break into your truck? I think bullies are creative when they're scared. She made a face. Can we cancel the church thing? We can't, I said. We can tighten it. I don't want to be a spectacle. You won't be. I held the mailer up. This is a projector's worth of minutes. People can clap for gossip. They go quiet for clocks. She looked at the mailer like it might hiss. And if they don't, then the timestamps will outlast the clapping. Her mouth tightened. Pastor said what? He's hosting if we keep it factual. That'll be a neat trick, she muttered. It will be, I said. We'll do it anyway. She sank into a chair, careful with her ribs. Tyler posted pictures from the lake. I saw. I set my phone down screen first. I also saw a sign that says, Friday by 5 p.m. I care about that more. Everyone else cares about the pictures, until they're looking at a wall with time on it. She pressed her knuckles against the pillow. I don't want to see my face. You won't, I said. You'll see minutes. She glanced at the clock over the stove, like she wanted to argue with it. You're stubborn. I'm consistent, I said, and let that be the end of it. The phone buzzed again. Pastor by text. Room is penciled. Keep it tight. I answered. Tight. Then I packed the mailer like I was putting a kid's lunch together. Drive, spare cord, a slip with the hash written in pencil for me, not for anyone else. On the porch, I met the mail carrier halfway down the steps. Need a signature? I asked. For this? She took the mailer, flipped it. Nah, it's going 3 blocks. Fastest insurance I've ever bought, I said. She grinned and stuffed it into her bag. Then you'll sleep better. I'll sleep when Friday shows up. A gust of digital noise hit my phone before I reached the door. Tyler again, now with a caption. Some folks love to invent villains. Pray for them. Denise chimed in. Truth always wins. I typed, then deleted, then put the phone in my pocket. Don't argue. Log. I opened the Notes app and wrote a single line. Smear surge June 20th. Counter with certified D. Inside, I set the pickup ticket under a salt shaker so it wouldn't wander. The room felt like a shop bay before a big fire call. Quiet, everything in place, hands itching to be useful. Quiet pride held under noise, I told myself. Let the noise burn out of air. Emily watched me from the couch. What if he shows up at the church? He's allowed, I said. He'll hear his own timeline. And if he calls me crazy to my face? You'll be sitting near Pastor, I said. I'll be reading minutes. She laughed once. No humor in it. You and your minutes. They don't lie, I said. People are less consistent. She looked at the window. Sometimes I want to move. We are moving, I said, toward Friday. The room settled again. The refrigerator clicked off and the house went blank with quiet. My phone vibrated one more time, but not with hearts or prayers. Sam R. Behind Grady's, son 6 a.m. I'll try to bring the receipt. I stared at the message until the words felt heavy enough to carry. The ER records desk had the hum of a copy shop and the gravity of a courthouse. Nurse Mallory met me there with a folder already squared. I've initialed each photo, she said, tapping the corners. Minutes along the margin. Triage at 1:37 is marked. Dr. Patel stepped from a side door, coat unrumpled despite the hour. Clinical note added, findings consistent with assault, short and plain. Plain travels, I said. Mallory flipped the packet so I could see her neat initials by each timestamp. Keep the set intact. If law enforcement requests anything, they'll want it whole. It stays whole, I said. I slid the folder into my bag like a fragile sheet of glass. On the curb, I pulled the USB, fed it into a zipper evidence pouch, and wrote in block letters, change start, 621, FE. The teeth of the zipper closed with a sound I liked. Final, quiet. At the church, Pastor's office smelled like paper and lemon oil. Sun made a bright bar across his desk. He capped and uncapped a pen with his thumb as I took the chair. I can pencil the basement, he said, but I need to know, who is this for? Emily's healing or your win? For Emily's safety, I said, holding his look, and for the truth to outlast the gossip. Those can be cousins. They can also fight. I'll read minutes, I said. No speeches. No names except the ones on documents. If anyone heckles, I keep reading. If she wants me to stop, I stop. He leaned back. What does Emily want? To not be looked at, I said. So I'll keep the images clinical, not personal. He clicked the pen again, then softened. Can you promise me this? No dramatics. I can promise you timestamps, I said. Good, he said, and reached for the wall calendar. The pen skated a circle around Saturday, June 29th, 7 p.m. If one rumor spills in this building before then, I pull the plug. Understood. In the hallway, two teens lugged a folding table past. One whispered, "Is that about the—" The other shushed him. I let it pass. The room we needed was on loan. I wouldn't crowd it with pride. Back at my kitchen, Emily sat with her socked feet on a chair, chin tucked. You went without me. Doctor signed. Nurse initialed, I said, setting the folder down. Plain and short. I don't want the church, she said. I don't want the looks. They'll be looking at paper, I said. They'll look at me anyway. Then you sit by Pastor, I said. I'll be at the projector. She watched my hands as I unzipped the pouch and slid the USB in. What if he comes? He will, I said. He loves an audience. We'll give him a clock. She made a sound that could have been a laugh if there were more air in the room. You and your clocks. They don't argue back. She winced as she tried to stretch. Don't use the photos. I'll use the time under them, I said. Mallory's initials, Dr. Patel's note. That's it. You promise? I promise. Her shoulders dropped a notch. Relief looks quiet on a person. It sits without asking for a chair. We drove back to the church so Emily could see the basement without strangers in it. Pastor met us at the door, eyes kind and careful. We'll set chairs in straight rows, he said. Lectern near the outlet, screen in the corner. Good, I said. I'll keep the lights steady. Emily hovered a step behind me, hoodie up. Pastor angled his body so the light hit me, not her. Ms. Monroe, he said gently, you won't be asked to speak. Thank you, she said. The words were a thread pulled tight. He looked between us. Documents only, he repeated, then added softer. I'll stand there if you want someone beside you. Emily nodded, not committing, and we left it there. On the way out, we passed the office again. The calendar caught my eye. The circle heavy in ink around Saturday, June 29th, 7 p.m. My chest eased a fraction. A room and a time, two of my favorite tools. Back home, I laid the folder in the zipper pouch on the table and checked the locks like a ritual. The house smelled faintly of coffee and paper. I sat and wrote 3 lines in my pad. E.R. Addendum, authenticated. Pastor penciled, Saturday, 7 p.m., documents only. Emily came back from the hallway with a slow step. You're writing lists. I'm writing a plan, I said. You think plans beat people? I think minutes beat stories. She took a breath that hurt a little and nodded. Okay. My phone chimed once. Sam R. again. The message breathing on the screen. Owner closing early Sunday. Meat still on, bring plain envelope. I didn't answer yet. I let the words cool so they'd hold their shape. I cleared the kitchen table like I was laying out hoses. Nothing on it but the laptop, the USB, and 2 sticky notes I'd already written on. Friday, June 28, 5 p.m. pickup, and Saturday, June 29th, 7 p.m. Town Hall. Emily hovered at the edge of the light. Do we really need all this tech? We need undeniability, I said. Hash before hush. I connected the drive, hit record on my phone camera, and read the screen aloud so the file would have a voice to match the digits. Checkbox log, ring clip, ending in 7A9. Smear screenshot bundle, ending 34B. I let the numbers be short enough to live in memory, but long enough to be unique. The phone picked up my breath in the click of the keys. The laptop printed a line that meant no edits since last save. Emily flinched at her own name on a folder. It feels like you're chiseling me into stone. I'm chiseling the time, I said. You get to be a person. She folded into a chair, arms wrapped across her middle. I don't want them to see me at all. They won't, I said. They'll see minutes. The printer spat a single page. Checksum log with 2 short lines. I signed the margin, FE6/24, and slid the page into a clear sleeve. Then I peeled the backing from a tamper sticker and pressed it across the USB seam. I signed the edge, FE June 24th. The ink bled just enough to prove it was ink. The phone rang. Pastor's number. I put it on speaker. Frank, quick. Do you need a microphone or just room tone? Room tone, I said. I don't want to sound like a rally. Good, he said. Bring your own audio cable in case. We'll test at 6:30. Keep lights steady. Copy, I said. Documents only. He chuckled, soft. That phrase is catching on. When I hung up, Emily was studying the sticky notes. She pointed. What if we miss Friday? We won't, I said, and we won't cut it close. She picked at the corner of a sticky and then stopped herself. I hate that he gets to be charming online while I sit here feeling like a bruise. I don't care about charming, I said. I care about Friday, June 28th, 5 p.m., and Saturday, 7 p.m. Those are the 2 doors we go through. She looked at me like I was stubborn, and she almost loved me for it. You think clocks can beat people? I think clocks can beat lies. I set the phone to camera again and held the USB up so both sticker and signature were in frame. Drive sealed. Tamper label signed FE624. I placed it in the pouch and zipped it shut. For a moment, the house was all small sounds. The fridge compressor, the paper's tiny rasp as it settled, the ambient hum that lives in quiet rooms where someone is trying not to cry. I called Officer Chen. He answered like always, 2 syllables and a pause. Chen. Reminder, I'll be there Friday. Arrive by 4:30, he said. Pick up by 5 is not the same as at 5. 4:30, I repeated. I wrote it on a 3rd sticky and stuck it to the corner of the laptop. Bring ID, he added. I will. I hung up and exhaled. Calm through numbers. Fear can wait in the truck. The laptop chimed. Checksum complete. I saved the log and printed a 2nd copy for the binder. Emily watched me stack the page under my palm like I was pressing bread dough. Can we not show my face? She asked again, smaller. Not a single frame, I said. Clinical notes, minutes, doorbell time. That's it. You promise? Yes. Her phone buzzed and she looked away. I didn't ask. She didn't offer. I took a picture of the table setup, not for the packet, just for me. Sticky note in the corner, bold and yellow. Friday, June 28th, 5 p.m. pickup. A little square shouting a schedule in a room where most voices had been whispers. Email pinged, new message, no subject, strange address. I clicked and a single line stared back. Your proofs will embarrass your daughter. An image sat beneath, blurred, two figures outside a bar like a smear of midnight, no timestamp, no handle, no chain. I didn't reply. I didn't save it to the packet. I closed the window and let the words sit on the back of my eyes, just long enough to decide not to carry them. Spam? Emily asked. Noise, I said, and slid the zipper pouch to the far side of the table where it could be ready without begging to be looked at. Pastor's office felt like a held breath. Projector humming on the credenza, paper edges squared, the draft flyer open on his screen. Read it out, he said. I did. Church basement, Saturday, June 29th, 7 p.m. Community information session. Documents only. Moderated. No recording. Good, he said. No names, no accusations. He looked at me. You hold to that mic like a promise. I will, I said. We're not asking for belief. We're posting a time. Emily sat in the doorway, hood up. No faces, she said. No faces, I said. Minutes, signatures. That's it, Pastor pointed with his pen. If anyone stands up to shout, I keep reading, I said. If she asks me to stop, I stop. He nodded, satisfied and sad. Let's walk the room. In the basement, the screen was already up. A teen volunteer rolled out a coil of HDMI like he was unspooling a fire hose. You want this tape down? He asked. Yes, I said, flat across the aisle. He tore a strip of gaffer tape, rip, and smoothed it with his palm. Order of exhibits, doorbell time, medical note, threads, HOA, I said. Save the bar for last. Copy, he said. Mic on a stand or handheld? Stand, I said. I don't want to pace. Emily hovered near the wall, eyes on the concrete floor. How many chairs? Enough, Pastor said. Not a rally. He turned to me. Tone stays factual. You don't need clever. You need clear. I brought clear, I said. He smiled a little. You brought stubborn. Both fit, I said. Back at my kitchen, I laid the binder open. The USB slid into a sleeve beside a spare HDMI cable. I labeled the pouch, To Church, June 29th, and clicked the clasp. The checksum log sat under the first tab. I didn't touch it. Pride wants to riffle pages. Procedure wants them flat. Emily watched my hands. If you post it, he'll post too. He already posts, I said. We make a room. He makes noise. You make it sound easy. It isn't, I said. It's clean. She let that sit, then, promise me you won't say his name. I promise. My phone buzzed. Pastor's text. Draft ready. Neutral language. Come up to approve. We went back. Pastor tapped the screen with the end of his pen. Last check. Anything that reads like a verdict has to go. Leave the verbs small, I said. Let the numbers be big. He laughed. I'll put that on a mug. The volunteer popped his head in, holding a roll of tape. We're good to post? 2 seconds, Pastor said, turning to Emily. Ms. Monroe, are you comfortable with this wording? She read it, lips moving, then nodded. Hate it. But it's fair. That's often how fairness feels, he said. The volunteer glanced at me. Projector's hungry. We'll run a test at 6:30. I'll bring audio, I said. He shot me a thumbs up. Tape will be invisible. People trip when they're mad. Pastor moved his cursor to the blue button. Once this is live, it's a bell we can't unring. Ring it, I said. He didn't. Not yet. He looked at Emily. You sure? She swallowed. Post it. Just don't let him talk over me. I won't, I said. Pastor clicked and the screen blinked. The flyer snapped into the church's feed. Plain font, black text, the time like a drum. Saturday, June 29th, 7 p.m. For a beat, no one spoke. The projector fan spun on, steady as breath. Fear traded for commitment, I said, mostly to myself. What? Emily asked. Nothing, I said. If it's public, let it be clean. We walked into the hall. 2 choir parents passed, glanced at the bulletin board and kept going. No comments, no whispers. Calm before whatever comes next. At home again, I wiped the table with my palm and placed the binder dead center. The pouch label, "To Church, June 29th," faced the door. I checked the clock, then the locks, then the clock again. That old firefighter habit. Make the scene safe, then make it right. Emily leaned against the counter. If he shows up with his grin, he'll sit in a chair, I said, same as everyone else. And if people look at me, look back at the screen, I said. There's more room there. She nodded like she wished she believed me. I'm tired of being a story. Then we'll be a schedule, I said. Her phone vibrated and she flinched. Mine did too. The same push notification slid up both screens with a quiet chime. Church basement, Saturday, June 29th, 7 p.m. Community information session, documents only. 3 dots. Then the first neutral comments ticked in. Thanks for hosting. We'll listen. A single heart landed and didn't feel like a weapon. I let the screen go dark and put my hand flat on the binder so the room could feel steady. The church lot shimmered in the heat, the kind that makes every car look like it's breathing. I parked under the struggling maple and pressed a hand to my jacket pocket. The sealed pouch, USB inside, tapped back against my knuckles like a pulse. Pastor met me at the side door, keys jangling soft. Frank, I'm on time, I said. He nodded toward the basement stairs. Board's nervous. I'm keeping it, but if it drifts from documents only, I cut power. I won't drift, I said. We don't debate rumors, we read minutes. He held my eyes a second longer than comfortable, then let me pass. 7 p.m. is still on. In the hallway, a pushpin squeaked as a choir parent added a bake sale flyer. She turned, arms crossed high. This whole thing is ugly, Mr. Ellison. Agree, I said. That's why we're using clocks. Church isn't a courtroom. It's a room, I said. We'll use it quietly. She shook her head. People will talk. They already are. They'll talk less when they've seen minutes. She sniffed. I'll be praying you rethink. Pray the documents hold, I said, and walked on before pride could answer for me. My phone buzzed as I hit daylight. Tyler had posted a new carousel. Smiles, lake water, a caption about forgiveness and not feeding lies. Denise left a stack of hearts. Comments read like a choir. She's unstable. He's a saint. One stranger wrote, old men should stay out of it. Heat rose in my chest. My hand stayed steady. Emily texted, cancel, please. I thumbed back. Documents only, on time. She answered, I'm not built for this. You're not carrying it, I wrote. I am. At the HOA office, the lobby AC hissed like a patient snake. A kid in a polo pointed me to the window. Officer Chen's out for 10, he said without looking up. I stood under a wall clock and listened to the copier hum. 10 minutes is nothing unless you're living on Friday. I counted breaths instead of seconds and watched a strip of sunlight crawl along the baseboard. Chen finally appeared with a file under his arm. Tie straight, face the same shape it had been since this started. Ellison, checking release time for tomorrow. He pointed to the placard like it was a liturgy. Release 4:30 p.m. Pick up by 5 p.m. June 28th. I'll be here at 4:30. Bring ID, bring your ticket. Don't be late. Noted. He didn't smile. I didn't need him to. I stepped outside into heat loud enough to be a sound. My phone buzzed in my pocket again. Another comment ping. Then again, Denise's story. A half-laughing pan past a bar mirror. Text stamped LOL. I didn't open it. On the drive back, Pastor called. Board asked me to repeat, he said. Documents only. I heard you the first 2 times. Frank, I heard you, I said again softer. And I agree. Good. His voice gentled. Emily okay? Scared, I said. I'll take scared over silent. He grunted, a sound like a worried amen. See you tomorrow. At home, I set the pouch on the table and checked the binder. Pages flat, cable coiled. Sticky with 430 on it stuck to the front like a yellow badge. I wanted to pace. I sat instead. More pings. Tyler's caption drew a cluster of pray hands. Someone wrote, "When will this harassment stop?" Another, "If she really needed help, she'd have gone to her husband." I put the phone face down and pressed my palm to the binder. Heat in my chest. Hands stay steady. Old firefighter trick. Look at what you can move. So I moved 3 things. Set the projector remote by the door, laid the pickup ticket on top of my wallet, and set 2 alarms on my phone for tomorrow, 4 p.m. and 4:20 p.m. Emily texted again. He's DMing my coworkers. Screenshots only, I sent back. No replies. She wrote, I hate this. Me too, I said. That's not the point. The house clicked as the AC cycled off. I checked the front lock, then the back, then came back to the table and slid the pouch into my jacket. It settled against my ribs, warm already. My phone lit. Pastor. Bored nervous. Documents only. 7 p.m. still on. Keep it tighter. I replied. Tight. I tapped both alarms again until they glowed. Then I turned the phone face down, stood, and let the room be quiet enough to hear my own breath. The HOA lobby clock clicked from 4:29 to 4:30 like a gate opening. Officer Chen appeared at the window with a manila folder. Ellison, he said. ID and pickup ticket. I slid both under the glass. He checked, then set the folder on the counter and stamped a narrow receipt. The clerk turned it so I could see the line in black. Released 4:30 p.m., June 28th. Read me the vehicle, Chen said. Monroe, inbound 1:02 a.m., Sunday. He nodded once. Certified copy enclosed. Chain of custody form on top. Sign and date, and don't pull the staples. I signed the chain form, slow and square. Anything else? Bring the original if you show it, he said. Leave the copy here clean. Understood. The clerk slid a second sheet forward for my signature, then clipped the folder shut with a fast metal bite. Stamp smell, ink and felt, hung in the air. Keep it flat, she said, not unkind. We made the corners tight. I'll keep them tight, I said. Outside, sun bounced off car hoods and made the asphalt look wet. I clipped the sealed USB pouch to the folder's brad so the packet traveled as one piece. The weight felt right in my hand, measured. Relief measured, pride held down. Side event, curb remark. A man in a polo paused at the crosswalk, squinting at me. You're Frank, right? Heard the church is hosting tomorrow. Keep it decent. It'll be documents only, I said. He pointed at his watch. 7 means 7. It does, I said. He nodded once and moved on. The crosswalk beeped its slow metronome. At a red light, I texted Pastor. Certified in hand. See you 6:30 for AV. He replied, doors open at 6:30, documents only. At home, Emily was at the sink, rinsing a glass, shoulders up around her ears. She saw the folder and went pale. Don't bring that to church, she said. I have to, I said. Documents only, chain intact. I don't want the copies on a wall, she said. I don't want any part of me on a wall. The wall will hold times, I said, not faces. She pressed the towel to the counter like she was trying to iron it flat. Promise. I promise. I set the folder on the table and laid the pouch on top. The binder waited beside them like a tray set for service. I opened the folder a finger's width, just enough to see the 1:02 a.m. inbound line on the log, then closed it again before pride could start rearranging pages that didn't need me. Chain of custody assigned, I said. Corners are tight. We keep them that way. Emily's phone buzzed. She didn't look. I keep thinking he'll talk his way out of anything. He talks, I said. The paper reads. She shivered once, quick. I hate all of this. Me too, I said. Hate isn't the point. I slid the packet into a small lockbox and fed the USB pouch in after it. The box swallowed the weight like a mouth. I turned the key once. The tumblers gave a clean answer. I'm not performing, I said, half to her, half to the room. I'm preserving. She set the glass down carefully. I'll go if I can sit by Pastor. You'll sit by Pastor. My phone chimed, a soft banner across the screen. Tomorrow, 6:30 p.m., AV test. Good. A schedule can be a kind of mercy. I tucked the key into my pocket and rested my palm on the box a second longer, letting the steady part of the day press back. By 5:40, the church lot was half full and too quiet, the kind of quiet that hums with people not saying what they came to say. I parked under the maple again and tapped the USB pouch in my jacket once, like a superstition I didn't believe in. Emily watched the entrance from the passenger seat. They're going to stare. They'll look at a wall, I said. If they stare, let them get tired. I can't, Dad. She swallowed. We can still leave. We're on time, I said. Documents only. Inside, the hallway smelled like floor wax and coffee. A knot of choir parents and neighbors stretched along the bulletin board. Their whispers did what whispers do, grew legs and walked back toward us. That's him. Poor Tyler. He's been so gracious. Did you see the boat picture? I kept my gaze on the stairs. Pastor stepped out from the office with a clipboard and that middle school principal look he gets when he'd rather be carrying hymnals. Frank, he said quietly, board wants it tighter. Documents only, no commentary. If it shifts into accusation, I cut the mic. It won't shift, I said. We read minutes. He flicked his eyes toward Emily. You okay? She pulled her hood forward. I want to go home. We will, I said. After. A teen volunteer jogged past, hugging a coil of cable. Basement doors sticking, he called over his shoulder. Be right back. I felt the heat of an old shame rise in my neck. How fast a town can make you 13 again. Shame wants noise. I choose steadiness. I touched the pouch in my jacket once more and breathed. Two women sidled up without quite facing me. Mr. Ellison, one said, maybe this is better handled. Privately? We tried privately, I said. Now we're trying clocks. Clocks don't heal, she said. They keep people honest, I said. She winced like I'd said something impolite. For everyone's sake, keep it brief. Brief is the plan. A chorus of phone chimes fluttered through the hall. Someone had posted, and the flock moved. A teenager thrust his screen to a friend. Denise went live, he stage whispered. I didn't look. I'd spent a career walking toward heat. You learn when not to smell smoke. The volunteer reappeared out of breath. We need the basement key. Pastor frowned. The custodian has it. He's running late. I nodded once. We'll wait. The crowd didn't. It swelled, then pressed, then eddied around us like water around a rock. A man in a sport coat planted himself in my path. You're going to turn this into a circus, he said. No, I said. A schedule. Tyler says you've been harassing him. Tyler talks, I said. Tonight we read. He shook his head and stepped aside, disappointed I didn't give him something to post. We reached the basement landing. The volunteer slid a key into the lock and turned. Nothing. Another try. The handle jiggled in his hand like a loose tooth. Let me, Pastor said, taking the key ring. He tried, then tried again with the other key, then pressed his shoulder into the door. The wood answered with a flat thud. Chain? I asked. No chain, the kid said. It sticks when it's humid. I set my palm flat against the door. It'll open. Behind us, the hallway crowd leaned without stepping closer. Someone laughed. Someone hushed them. Emily stood to the side, small as I've seen her since she was 6. Dad, she said, barely sound. Please. Documents only, I said. On time. On time to what? She asked. A locked door? Pastor tried the key again. Click. Fail. The volunteer cursed under his breath, then flushed. Sorry. It's a door, I said. It'll be a door again in a minute. A woman in a floral blouse deposited 2 folding fans into the nearest hands. "It's warm," she announced, like she'd invented the observation. "We could do this upstairs." "No," Pastor said, gentle but iron. "Basement or not at all." The crowd hummed with that special brand of church disapproval. Soft, unanimous, anonymous. I kept my hands in view and my voice low. "Folks," I said, "this will be plain and short. If you came for a fight, you'll be bored." A man near the stairs snorted. "We'll see." From the hallway, a young dad whispered too loud, "He's milking it," and his friends shushed him with a grin. I let their words pass like bad weather. In my pocket, the pouch pressed against my ribs. Evidence traveling, not performing. The volunteer squatted, peered at the bottom edge. "Swollen," he said. He wedged a folded bulletin under the door and tried the handle. Click. Fail. He looked up at Pastor, embarrassed. "Sorry." Pastor breathed out through his nose. "We'll start late if we must, but we start." I shifted my stance so I blocked half the hallway's view of Emily. A boy filming us lowered his phone when I looked at him. "No recording," Pastor reminded. The boy pouted and drifted backward. Emily tugged my sleeve. "We don't have to do this." "We do," I said. "It's not about winning. We aren't here to win. We're here to read." Her face pinched like I'd asked her to carry something heavy. "I feel like a sign." "You're a person," I said. "The paper is the sign." A hush fell, that sudden indoor quiet that comes when a crowd runs out of small talk and starts to anticipate a thing they can't stop. I glanced up. The hallway wall clock ticked and the hands kissed. 6:32. "Try again," I said. Pastor did. Click, fail. He turned the key back the other way, then forward, then leaned his weight. The volunteer shoved a shoulder alongside his. The door gave a grudging inch, then stuck like it had changed its mind. A choir mom tisked. "It's a sign," she said to her friend. "Yes," I said without turning, "that things stick when there's heat." Her mouth closed on the next syllable. A second wave of phones lit. Another post, probably more lake water and forgiveness. Someone near the bulletin board said, "Denise says Emily's unstable." I felt my jaw lock and made myself unclench it. I choose steadiness over pride. Pastor stepped back, wiped his palms on his slacks, and smiled the way you smile at a stubborn toddler. "Again," he told the door, and again the lock answered with that dull refusal. Emily took a step toward the exit. I stepped with her, not in front, just beside. 2 more minutes, I said. "Why 2?" she asked. "Because that's how long it takes for a swollen jam to forget it's swollen." She almost laughed, then didn't. The volunteer disappeared and reappeared with a small can of silicone spray, like a magician admitting his best trick is lube. He shot a line along the latch. Pastor worked the key, gentle, then firm. The handle turned. The door moved half an inch, then caught on its own pride. "Push," Pastor said. We pushed. The door scraped over the bulletin, inhaled the cool of the basement, and stopped at a shoe someone had left as a wedge the wrong way. The volunteer kicked the shoe aside and pulled. The door opened. A ripple went through the hallway like a breeze. People shifted. Someone said, "Finally." Someone else said, "It's late," as if we hadn't just watched time behave exactly like wood. Pastor leaned toward me, voice low. "Board wants it tighter. Final word in 10. Behind him, the hallway crowd swelled another row deeper, faces tilted toward the opening like flowers toward light. The door finally breathed open, and the crowd breathed with it. One collective inhale of people smelling blood they could call concern. The volunteer held his palms out. "Please keep the stairs clear." No one heard him. They only obeyed the shape of his hands. Pastor slipped into a cluster of board members just inside the threshold. Their heads dipped together like geese in a creek. He glanced back at me once, then closed the circle. Emily kept to the wall, hood shadowing her face. "I can't do this," she whispered. "You can do the next 5 minutes," I said. "If Pastor cancels, we leave. If he stays, we read." Her jaw worked. "People are filming." The volunteer pointed at a handwritten sign. "No recording." 3 phones dropped a few inches, not all the way. From the end of the hall, Tyler appeared with Denise on his arm, both in pressed clothes that looked like apology costumes. He wore the expression of a man who believed in mirrors. Denise angled her shoulder so the light found her like it owed her. "Frank," Tyler said, palms out, "is this necessary?" "We'll find out at 7, I said. "Emily," he added, voice soft like a bruise, "we can talk, privately." Emily's breath thinned. "Don't speak to me." Denise smiled without teeth. "We're praying for you," she said to me, not her. "You can heckle a man," I said. "You can't heckle a clock." Tyler's smile tightened. "See? Aggressive." The volunteer drifted between us, all elbows and gaffer tape diplomacy. "Stairs clear, please." My phone woke in my hand when I didn't remember picking it up. 647 stared back. Under it, the old banner still sat there like a dare. A V-test, 6:30 p.m. The test had happened. The room was ready. The people were not. A choir mom leaned close enough that her perfume replaced the hallway's floor wax smell. "She's fragile," she stage whispered in a voice designed to be overheard. "This spectacle will harm her." Emily's fingers dug into my sleeve. "Dad, please." I kept my voice level. "No faces, no names." Minutes only. Denise lifted her phone chest high and pouted. The volunteer pointed again at the sign. She giggled and lowered it an inch, enough to say she'd complied without surrendering. Pastor slipped out of the board knot and took 2 steps toward me before a man with a silver name tag caught his elbow. New whisper, new frown, the weight of a small town's gossip perched on one pair of shoulders. My phone buzzed with an email banner. HR scheduling, Monday, 9 a.m. Meeting confirmed. I didn't open it. Emily saw the sender and made a sound like a chair leg scraping. "They're going to fire me," she said. "They're going to meet you," I said. "Bring breath, not fear. I don't want them to Google me." "They will anyway." I touched the USB pouch seam in my jacket and let the seal be the thing that kept me from answering Tyler's face. A congregant in a blazer addressed Pastor with the warmth of a traffic stop. "We should set boundaries, Pastor. 10 minutes, no projector. Just read a statement and go." Pastor looked past him to me. "10's not enough," he said, mostly to himself. "10 is generous," the man insisted, "and no medical pictures." "No faces, no names," I repeated. "We already said that." Denise planted her hand on Tyler's arm. "We're here in good faith." Tyler nodded solemnly, enjoying his own performance. "If this is about healing, Pastor, keep it short." "Short is the point," I said. "Truth travels faster when it's small." A teenager pushed to the front and blurted, "Denise says Emily hit him." His mother yanked him back by the sleeve. A ripple of disapproval moved across the crowd, not for the lie, for the rudeness. Emily's mouth pinched. "I can't be a sign," she said again. "You're not," I said. "The paper is." The volunteer clicked the power strip with his toe. The projector fan spun up and threw a blank rectangle across the far wall of the stairwell. People leaned toward it like moths. Pastor stepped out of the huddle and came to us. That principal look again, but sharper. "Board says tighter," he murmured. "No names, no faces, 10-minute cap. If it turns to accusation, I kill the mic." "It won't," I said. "Minutes only." He studied me. "You can do this without heat." "I brought a clock," I said. He looked at Emily. "Do you consent to proceed under those terms?" She stared at the blank rectangle and lifted her chin a fraction. "If he reads and I don't have to speak." "You don't," Pastor said. Behind us, somebody laughed at something on a phone. Tyler's jaw flickered. He couldn't decide whether to be offended or adored. I checked my screen again without meaning to. 6:55. The rectangle on the far wall looked like a door someone hadn't painted yet. "Dad," Emily said, "if he stands up and calls me crazy, promise you'll keep reading." "I'll keep reading," I said. "If Pastor cancels, we leave. If he stays, we read. That's the deal." She nodded, the kind of nod a person makes when they're walking into cold water. Denise's eyes followed the nod like a cat watches a red dot. Pastor raised his palms toward the hallway, that calm down gesture every shepherd learns. "We'll begin at 7, he said. Documents only. If you came to argue, this will be disappointing. A few chuckles. A few disappointed noses lifted as if to smell the disappointment ahead of time. The volunteer leaned close. Audio's ready. Remote on the lectern. Good, I said. Keep that sign where they can see it. He smiled, nervous and proud. They can't fight a rectangle. Tyler took a small step closer, practiced contrition on his face. Frank, last chance to handle this as a family. We tried family, I said. Family pushed her into my doorway at 1 a.m. His mouth twitched, the slightest crack in the paint. Allegedly. I palmed the pouch seam until my pulse matched the smooth plastic line. Anger wants to answer. I let the seal answer for me. Pastor tapped his watch, then looked at me. Final word in 2. He turned back to his board, who turned as one flock turns, and the crowd leaned with them, waiting to see whether 7 o'clock would keep its promise. The basement smelled like paper and lemon oil, and 100 held breaths. On the far wall, the projector threw a blank rectangle. The wall clock over the door clicked forward, and the minute hand landed on 7 o'clock. Pastor stepped to the lectern. Documents only, he said to the room. No names, no faces. 10 minutes. If you came to argue, this won't help you. He nodded to me. I walked up, set the sealed pouch down where everyone could see the tamper seam, and took the mic off the stand without moving my feet. I'll read minutes, I said. Nothing else. From the third row, Tyler sat straight-backed. Denise angled for the screen like it owed her good light. Emily was in the side chair by Pastor, hood up, hands tucked. I met her eyes once. She mouthed, "Make it stop." 10 minutes, I said softly to her, then to the room. Timeline begins. I unzipped the pouch, slid out the USB, and slotted it. No flourish. The volunteer dimmed the lights 1 notch. The rectangle filled with the first frame, front door view. Clip 1, I said. 1 a.m. exactly. No faces. I hit play. The sound was only a thud of fists, a breath, a body collapsing just outside the view. The number in the corner, 1 o'clock, did the talking. A hush crawled across the rows like a tide. Someone in back whispered, "Oh, not at a person, at a minute." Document 2, I said, and advanced to a page image. ER addendum. Nurse Mallory initials along the margin. Dr. Patel's clinical note, findings consistent with assault. No commentary. I let the page sit for 2 beats, then moved on before anyone could try to feel instead of look. Document 3. The HOA certified log filled the screen, corners crisp. Inbound entry. Emily Monroe. 1:02 a.m. Friday night to Saturday morning. Certified release was yesterday at 4:30. Officer Chen is present to confirm the format if needed. Chen, against the back wall, raised 2 fingers in a small, neutral acknowledgement. It wasn't approval. It didn't need to be. I kept my voice even. Document 4. A public post created by a third party that night. The screen changed to Denise's Instagram live. Her giggle outside a motel lot. The camera swinging. A male voice off screen. Tyler's. Distinct enough that the front row straightened. In the corner, her account handle and the timestamp sat like little metal tags on a keyring. Denise made a noise in her throat. Tyler's jaw hardened, and then, as his own voice came through the speakers, "Leave it, D, it's fine." His face drained a shade. I kept reading. The point is not feelings. The point is minutes. 1 o'clock at my door, 1:02 at the gate. A medical note consistent with injury. A live stream posted from the motel lot soon after. 4 small things that agreed Denise half stood. You can fake. Pastor lifted a palm. No commentary, Ms. He caught himself before saying her name. Please sit. A man in the second row spoke into his fist. That's his voice. Documents only, Pastor repeated. I let the silence do its job. People will fill a blank with their own conscience if you give it 10 seconds. Tyler stood, shaky dignity pasted on. This is harassment, he said. She hurts herself for attention. Everyone knows this. I didn't look at him. I looked at the minute in the corner of the doorbell clip, frozen on the split screen. 1 o'clock. You can bend a story, I said. You can't bend a minute. The line landed with a dull, useful thud. No applause, just the sound of people marking down a fact they couldn't put back. From the side chair, Emily whispered, "Please." 2 more slides, I promised, and kept my hands steady. I brought the HOA log back up for a clean hold, then returned to the ER note for a 2 count. No faces, no pain on display, just the initials. The short line from a doctor, the corners tight. Denise's composure cracked first. She grabbed her purse, stood in a rustle, and hissed to Tyler, "This is stupid," as she edged toward the aisle. Tyler stayed up, hands on the back of his chair like he needed to feel a thing that didn't sway. "You're turning a marriage into a slideshow," he said to the room. Pastor put the mic back on its stand. "Sir, sit down." "I have a right to speak," Tyler barked, louder than he meant to. "You have a right to listen," Pastor said, "and to take responsibility if you choose." He didn't choose, but choice started to look like something he might trip over anyway. From the back, Chen's voice carried just enough. "The log's real," he said, almost bored. Release protocol was followed. He didn't move. He didn't need to. The volunteer flicked the lights up half a notch. The rectangle stayed bright. The room had to decide what to do with it. I closed the binder. "That's the packet," I said. "We're done." I reinserted the USB, zipped the pouch, and set it where everyone could see the seal again. Silence. The thermal kind after a fire when steam stops rising. Then, small movements. A chair scraped. Someone coughed. A woman said, "Lord." Not a prayer, a verdict. Tyler's shoulders dropped like the strings had been cut. He looked at Emily, really looked, and wavered. "Em," he said, voice reduced. Pastor stepped between them with his body but not his eyes. "No direct address," he said. "If you have statements, you make them after." Tyler's mouth worked. The room watched him the way a room watches a man choose who he is. He tried for the grin. It didn't arrive. His eyes got wet instead. He swallowed. "I'm sorry." It came out to the room, not to Emily, because that's the only direction left when a lie has no oxygen. A murmur moved like a wave across the rows. Not applause, not outrage, just the sound people make when someone finally stops pushing air at them. Denise had gone. The side door clicked somewhere. Chen slid along the back wall toward the office without ceremony. Pastor took the mic again. "Thank you," he said. "Documents only as concluded. If you need to give a statement, the ushers will direct you to the office. If you need prayer, the chapel is open." I looked at Emily. Her eyes were red and clear at the same time. Pride rose like a stupid animal. I pushed it down and kept my face clean. "We're done," I said to her. "We're done," she echoed, not like a victory, like a term ending. I put my palm on the sealed pouch and lifted it. The weight felt exactly like 10 minutes should feel. Across the aisle, Tyler stood alone, hands empty, eyes slick, the grin gone. He didn't try to stop us as Pastor nodded toward the back office, and the officer waiting there held the door. I didn't gloat. I didn't speak. I just closed the binder and let the room keep what it had seen. Monday tasted like stale coffee and clean paper. Emily and I sat in the small lobby at the precinct while a wall TV ran silent weather. She kept her hood low. I kept my voice low. Officer Chen called us back with a clipboard. "Short and plain," he said. "Confirm format only." "I'll read minutes," I said. 1 a.m. clip, ER addendum, HOA certified log at 1:02. Public live stream afterward. He checked boxes as I spoke. That matches what I saw in the room. Emily signed where the line asked her to be a person, not a story. She hesitated at her last name and then wrote it anyway. "You did fine," I said. She exhaled through her nose. "I hate rooms." "Today it's windows," I said. "Different air." We walked 2 blocks to the county clerk. Fluorescence hummed. A number board blinked us along. The clerk behind the glass wore reading glasses on a chain and efficiency like a vest. "Temporary protection," I said. "Emergency hearing waived. We have a documented timeline and a police intake." "Packet?" she asked. I slid the folder just far enough through the slot to show the chain form and cover page. No faces, minutes only. She nodded once, stamped dates on 2 forms, and passed them back with a yellow highlighter. Initial here, here, and here. This line authorizes service by deputy. Emily's hand wobbled. Do we have to put this on paper? Yes, I said gently, and we'll only put what's needed. She nodded and signed. The clerk gathered the sheets, pressed them into a small stack, and rolled the stamp like a hammer. The ink came up crisp. Filed, granted. Monday, July 1st, 10:12 a.m. The clerk slid 1 copy to us, 1 to a blue bin. Effective on service, she said. Violations are arrestable. Carry this. Keep the corners tight. Corners tight, I repeated. Emily traced the stamp with her eyes, not her finger. So, this means he can't contact me. Or show up, the clerk said. If he does, call. Don't engage. Thank you, Emily said, voice small but present. On the sidewalk, I let the sunlight live on the page 1 long second, and then slid the order into the sleeve. Closure is paperwork, not applause. I didn't smile. My hands wanted to. I told them no. We stopped at the church next. Pastor opened his door like he'd been listening for our steps. Documents only, he said, half a greeting, half a prayer. Worked as designed, I said. We need 1 line for our file. Documents only. Timeline presented. He wrote it on letterhead, in the neat hand of a man who has filled 1,000 certificates, and folded the page before it could warp. 1 line, he said, and signed. Emily stood in the doorway, arms crossed to keep her ribs safe. Thank you for how you handled it. I handled a room, he said. You handled breath. That's harder. She looked at the floor. I felt seen anyway. You were, he said, by the right things. Back home, the house felt like itself again. Quiet, a little messy, honest. I set the binder on the table and opened the lockbox. The USB pouch came out, the tamper seam still clean. I logged a line in the change sheet. USB return to box, July 1st, FE, and pressed the ballpoint hard enough to leave a groove. Emily leaned on the doorframe. HR at 1:30? They left a voicemail, I said. We'll listen together. She made a face. I don't want to hear their tone. We'll hear their words, I said. Tone is for rooms, we're doing windows. Her phone vibrated. She looked, then handed it to me. It's Tyler, she said, like the name had a temperature. Don't open it, I said. Order is effective on service. Deputy will make sure he reads it. If he contacts you after, we log it. She nodded. I want to delete everything. You'll delete nothing for a week, I said. Then you can scrub. She didn't argue. She sat at the table and watched me work. I slid the TPO copy into the front sleeve. The clean black line. Filed, granted. Monday, July 1st, 10:12 a.m. Looked like a stop sign written in plain English. Pastor's one-liner went behind it. Chen's intake checklist got a tab with no flourish. I closed the binder and held my hand on it until my pulse stopped trying to talk. The phone buzzed with a new voicemail. I put it on speaker. Hello, this is HR at North Hills. Following Friday's notice, we've logged medical documentation and a witness-moderated meeting held off-site. Written clarification issued. No discipline at this time. Please check your email for the memo. Emily's shoulders dipped, not collapsing, releasing. So, I'm not fired. You're not fired, I said. They wrote instead of guessed. She laughed once, then covered her mouth. I don't know what to feel. Breathe, I said. We're not spiking the ball, we're filing it. She rolled her eyes at me and smiled anyway. You and your filing. Kept the house from burning down more than once, I said. We drove to the substation to drop a copy for service. A deputy scanned the order and nodded. We'll serve today, he said. If he calls you after, call us. Will do, I said. At home again, I carried the binder to the hallway shelf and set it high, above the cookbooks and the box of old light bulbs. Emily watched me tuck the USB back into the lockbox, coil the cord, and closed the lid. "Can we?" she started, then stopped. "What? Can we make pancakes tomorrow? Before I go in?" "Yeah," I said. "We can do that." I turned the key. The lock answered with one clean click. The box felt settled, like a stone where it should be. My phone lit with the HR icon blinking. I let it blink out on its own. No rush anymore. I placed the binder on the high shelf and stood there a second longer than necessary, palm flat on the spine. Not for triumph. For proof that when the worst night puts its hands on your door at 1 a.m., you can still, later, put the day back on its hinges. By Monday evening, the house finally sounded like itself. Patience, not volume, turned the room that nearly broke us into a place that listened. Justice came the slow way, minute by minute, from 1 a.m. to now. I set the binder high, slipped the order beside it, and turned the lock. One clean click. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and comment your thoughts below. Type 1 if you resonate with this story.